Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bowtie Edge Real Estate Unraveled, where we strip away the legal jargon and get real about real estate, helping homeowners, investors, brokers, agents, lenders, and including my fellow attorneys to talk about what you actually need to know. I'm your host, Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, the Bowtie Attorney, bringing you unfiltered insights from the professionals on the front lines of real estate law. This isn't theory, it's strategy. Real estate law, untangled, unfiltered, with an edge. Let's fly. And today we've got Allison Verhalen. Did I pronounce that right? Or
Yes,
Verhalen? Verhalen.
Verhalen.
Verhalen from AZ Writing Services. And three things your content needs to make an easy sale. And Allison's going to tell us what those are. Welcome, Allison. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we are live, right? So now we're live on. Wait, did I even send you? I sent you the link. Did I send you the link? That's funny if I didn't even send you the link. I did, right? I posted in the chat. Did you see it?
No. Oh, I see it now.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to take a minute to give her. So, Allison, so you can just drop that into your social media. That's so funny. So, what I love about this is as we are working through this and doing things, my dad taught me just get it done. Just go. Just do things, and that's kind of what we're doing here, and we're enjoying it. And Allison, you can post it on your audience link so that way even though your dad doesn't do social media from what you said, maybe somebody will get
Somebody
on
will see
from
it.
our side. Somebody will see it. So tell us, what are the three things that our content needs in order to drive sales? And tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, a little bit about me. I always like to start there to give people to answer the question of who is Allison and why the heck should I care what she has to say. So I majored in English and psychology, which is the perfect degree for content marketing. Little did I know.
Makes sense.
Had
Yes.
no clue. Had no clue what content marketing was. I thought
Got
I
it.
wanted to. I thought I wanted to work in publishing.
Uh-huh.
Graduated in '09 right after the job market crashed. So there were no jobs to be had
Fantastic.
in publishing. Yeah, it was a great time to
Good
graduate.
timing. Well timed. Well timed.
Great timing, yes. So answered phones for a few years, found myself between jobs at one point, and my roommate at the time, her dad, who was an attorney, was awesome and offered to give me stuff to do around his office until I got back on my feet. And one of the things he needed was someone to write blog posts for his law firm. And he
Love
knew I
it.
had a strong writing background, so he offered me the gig, and I was like, "What? I can get paid to write? Seriously? Yeah." So I jumped at
Awesome.
that chance and started writing for him. And I would write like 2 to 4 blog posts per month for him.
Okay.
Um, and after 6 months, he came back and told me I had brought in $75,000 worth of business to his law firm just through the blog posts
Wow.
I was writing for him. And so that was
Wow.
my like light bulb moment of, this isn't just busy work he's giving me as a favor. This is having
Right.
real results for his business. So it was like,
Correct.
oh. And it was really fortunate timing because it was right around the time that I think content really started to be a big thing and business owners started to
Oh yeah.
recognize. This was like 2011, 2012. People were like, oh, we
So
need content, content,
yeah,
content.
what do you think it was about the content that you were writing that was, I mean, obviously at that point you didn't know, I mean, you knew what you were writing, but you didn't know kind of like what the, it's like almost as you like tripped into it. What do you
Yes.
think it was that you did then accidentally that really drove revenue for him?
I think it was a number of things, and it wasn't all on me. I mean, I will take some of the credit. Don't get me wrong,
Of course,
but
yes, we have
there's
to give you
something
credit.
to be said for the fact that it was an established law firm. Their website was established. They had a bunch of other content. They had all these other things working for them before I ever jumped on. I think what I did that really helped out was it was consistent because as we all know, when you're trying to run a business and do the things and talk to clients and actually serve your clients and do your marketing, marketing tends to be the first thing that falls off the platter when
Absolutely.
you get
Absolutely.
busy. So it goes to the bottom of the to-do list, which means it never gets done. So by
Right.
hiring me and making sure that he was consistently writing blog posts or publishing blog posts every single month, that really helped. The other thing was I wrapped it into a story. So before, like I said, he's been writing his own blog posts before bringing me on. And I took a look at that, because I'd never written a blog post before. So I was looking at those blog posts before I started
Right.
writing to see, okay, what am I doing here? And they started out fine. The first 1 or 2 paragraphs were fine. And the second or third paragraph, he jumped to something seemingly completely different. And I was like, how did he get from there over here? So I did eventually figure it out because I was being paid to sit there and figure it out. If I had been a prospect, I would have said, okay, thanks, I'm going to find what I need somewhere else because this is not helpful for me. So
Got
yeah, I
it.
went back to him and was like, yeah, I can absolutely write blog posts for you because I know I can do better than this.
Yes.
So my philosophy was really just to wrap it into a story. Here's a situation someone found themselves in. Here's what happened. Here's how it could have been avoided if they had someone like us on their side. Or here's how we help people through this situation
How
if
did
you
you get
find
that
yourself
data?
in this situation.
How did you ask him? Were you talking to him about it, or where did you get the content from?
I was talking to him about it, and he
Okay.
would give me news articles of cases, not cases they had worked on, but cases that were out in the news. And sometimes they were very famous, and sometimes it's stuff that's like buried at the back of a newspaper. Remember
Right.
newspapers? It was like
Yeah. Yeah.
back
Right.
of the digital newspaper. Um, but it would be stuff that was the kind of work of lawsuit that they would work on. It wasn't their clients, it wasn't their
Got
stuff,
it.
but it's like this is the stuff that we do. So basically, I just had to repurpose that and turn it into a story and turn it into a blog post.
So you were
Um,
commenting on stuff that was going on in the news, and you were saying how
mhm.
they could have done it better, or differently, or alternatively, or kind of how they would.
Or
All
if
right,
you
and
find
linking it
yourself
right
in this
back to them.
situation, yeah,
Give
then
us a
then
call. We
reach
can do
out.
this.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, so having that story element is really important in your writing, and a lot of people get really into the nuts and bolts and the how to, and yes, those are important, but you got to wrap it into a story, otherwise it just goes in one ear and out the other.
Got it. And so today we're talking about the three things that your content needs to drive sales. Did I get that right? That's what we're going
Yes.
to talk about today. Three things to drive sales. Three things your content needs to drive sales. And what are those three things, Allison?
That's the
One.
first one, is making sure that it's a story. Every single piece of content that you write needs a hook to start off with, because you only have
Okay.
what, 7 seconds to get someone's attention. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
gotten shorter. I think we're now down to like 3 seconds.
Wow.
So yeah, have that hook so that people have a reason to keep reading, watching, listening, whatever it might be. So that's the first one, is to have that story. The second piece of advice, which is really my number one piece of advice, it's just the story thing led nicely into from what I was talking about.
Right.
But the number one thing that I always recommend is consistency. Consistency of your publishing schedule, consistency of your tone and your voice and the topics that you create, consistency of your call to action, which is not necessarily to say that you always need the same call to action, but you do always need some sort of call to action. It doesn't always necessarily have to be, hey, reach out to us, hey, have this, schedule a sales call, or buy my thing. The call to action could be, hey, we have a webinar that we're leading next week that covers this. So if this is of interest to you, sign up for the
Sign
webinar,
up.
or subscribe to our newsletter, or follow us on social media. There are other ways that you can lead them through the buyer journey without going straight for the hard sell.
So I love that. And so, all right. So consistency in terms of consistently having a call to action to something that you want them to do. And I love how you call that the buyer's path, right? So not necessarily a hard sell, but a sell to commit them to go further down the rabbit hole into our hole, right? Come in with us, right?
Yeah, it's all about capturing that lead. So for example, if they sign up for your webinar, if they download your thing, now you've got their email address. Now you can continually to send them emails about the thing that they signed up for. So if you have a webinar on a specific topic, now anytime that you have a newsletter or an email about anything related to that topic in that, content bucket or content pillar, as we say in marketing speak, send them information on that so that you can A, stay top of mind so they don't forget who the heck you are. And B, you are positioning yourself as a thought leader, and you are educating and nurturing them by consistently sending them all this content. So if they're consuming even a fraction of the content you're sending them, they're now a higher quality lead because they have a better understanding of the value you provide. So they're less likely to be one of those leads who's going to argue with you about price or tell you why you're doing
Yeah.
your job wrong, or, well, but ChatGPT said such and such, so isn't that how it really should be done? Like, you're
You've
not going to get
already
as many of those
educated them
people.
on what what their options are and what we can do. And when they're calling because they want you. So
Mm-hmm.
it makes them much easier sales glide. I love it. Absolutely. So, but you also said consistency in terms of posting. Are you,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what exactly does that mean? Like how, when you say consistency in terms of, is that the number of posts? Is it what time I post it? Is it what time I drop it? Like what day? Like what exactly is it?
Yeah, teach your audience when to expect to hear from you. So yes,
Oh,
absolutely recommend having a a schedule that you stick to. So for example, my blog goes up every other Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. And then at 8:30 the next morning, my newsletter goes out. And that is every other week without fail.
got it. So that consistency. Now, what do I get out of that? Tell me, like, what's the impact of that consistency? Like, what does that mean? Is it kind of like the episode of House that comes up, and I know when it's coming up, so I'm going to wait
It
for it, or
I mean, part of it is that's part of it. A lot of it comes down to trust because we all say we work with people we know, like, and trust, right? And surprising amount of trust is just showing up. No one likes, I don't want to say no one likes, but you might like, but not necessarily trust the friend who's flaky and shows up on occasion and other times doesn't answer their phone and doesn't answer their email and can't be found. So, but we all have that friend, right? It's like, yeah, we love them, but we don't rely on them to show up. People are going to trust you. They need to know that you're going to show up, and they need to know when you're going to show up. So, having that consistency, it also helps. Again, if you're the one doing this as the business owner, it helps you to have that deadline. It helps make sure that you're actually going to write that blog post and get it published and get that newsletter out and all the things. I know it helps me for my own blogs. It also helps me with my clients. If my clients are like, yeah, whenever you get around to it, I'm like, okay, then this is never going to happen. Please give me a
Mhm.
deadline. I work so much better when I have a deadline, even if it's made
Correct.
up. Just give
Just
me a
give me a
time when it needs
deadline.
to get
Just
done.
tell
Yes.
me when. Yeah, I do that a lot with my team. I'll be like, okay, I need it by X date. Like, I don't know
hmm
when I need it, but I'm just gonna pick a date so when I
Pick
can
a date.
have it. Yep, just pick a date, and and if you tell them too far out, then nothing's gonna happen. Everything's
hmm
gonna happen like the day before, right? So if you tell them it takes 3 weeks, it's gonna take 3 weeks. If you tell them it takes a week, that same task will only take a week. Absolutely,
hmm Yep.
absolutely. Okay, all
Time
right.
is a vacuum.
So the first one is consistency.
hmm
That's the first one. Even though
hmm
we started with
With storytelling, which is the second one.
storytelling. Got it. I'm putting down my notes here, right? All of those out there who are not watching us, put notes. So, storytelling is second. So, consistency, storytelling. So, make a story, bring it about, make it more relatable, right?
100%.
Um, got it. All right. So, the more practical as opposed to something that people can actually connect with that touches them, right? So they can kind of follow
hmm
a storyline. All right. So, that was two. Number three, what is the third thing to do for my content to drive sales?
Yeah, I also want to go back to stories for a minute,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because from a psychological perspective, people are much more likely to remember stories, and we're much more inclined to engage with stories. So not only are we going to keep reading, and not only does it make it real for us, but it's also going to be more sticky. It's much more likely to stick in our brains, and we're more likely to remember that that anecdote or that case study more than we are likely to remember the list of. I mean, like, as you can see here, I gave you a list of three things, and you're still struggling to remember even just the three things. But that
Right.
story I told you, my origin
That's
story
my
at the beginning,
ADHD.
like, yeah, we we've all been there. But that
Yeah.
story I told at the beginning, like, you're gonna remember that, like, because that is something that it makes it
The
real for
story
you.
about you writing for your friend's dad who hired you as a lead, and that's how you became, and you connected it because you read articles. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally remember this. It's funny. I used to. That's
See?
what I did in law school. Is to remember the cases.
Mhm.
To remember the law, I needed the story. Like what
Mhm.
happened? Oh, this company bought this product and the product didn't work out. And so then they sued them and they should have known that. Yeah, totally. It's always been the story that helped me memorize things. And I do the same thing with people. Like, oh, remember that
Yes.
person? Well, this is the story of that person to remember their
Mhm.
name.
Mhm.
Fantastic. All right. So storytelling relatable because that's how people remember things. right?
Mhm.
What is the third thing, Allison?
The third thing, so the other thing relates to SEO, also known as search engine optimization, or as I like to call it, making Google your friend. Or now it's not. It is still Google. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who's like, Google is dead, SEO is dead. It's all SEO. But we do also have to recognize that SEO is more than just Google now. It is now ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity and all of those large language models. So when people get really hooked into what do we have to do differently now? What is Google doing differently now? What is ChatGPT doing differently? Yes, their tactics might change. Their goal is always the same. Their goal is always to help people find the content that answers their questions. So their tactics change to get better at achieving that goal. So I'll use Google as an example because most people know, I think, Google back in the day favored keyword stuffing, which is when you keyword as many keyword times into keyword as you can into keyword a piece of content keyword, right? Terrible
Right,
content.
right.
But it worked because Google would be like, oh, people are looking with this word and this word shows up a bunch of times over here. Now we're
So it
marrying
must be
these
right.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took Google a while to figure out that we don't actually want to rank this content. This is crappy content. So then after a while, you actually got blacklisted and you would get downgraded in search rankings for doing that kind of stuff. So there are a bunch of examples of that. That's just a really easy example for me to talk about. But
Right.
it's just constant iterations of getting better and better at identifying what is high quality content, understanding context better. So it's not just about the keyword, it's about the context, which we're getting more and more now with the LLMs and the chatbots. Is you're not getting just a keyword or a phrase anymore, you're getting whole questions. So people have to get better at understanding that.
LLM. What's LLM?
Large language model. Those are your chatbots, your
Got it.
ChatGPT, your Claude, Perplexity. Those are all LLMs.
Got it. And so since we were looking at, so before we started with words, then we went to questions or sentences, and now we're actually looking at full paragraphs that large language models are looking at in order to figure out, is this quality content?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
I
and
love that. And no one ever put it to me that way, that the whole purpose of where they're all their tactics, all their strategies, all their algorithms all surround one thing, which is how do we get good content?
mm-hmm. Yeah. The end.
The end. All right, well, that's it. That's a wrap. We're going to go home now. Fantastic. All right. So what is the secret to that, to getting the good quality content? So if you were to sum up number 3, what would that be?
Well, consistency feeds into it because that is something that the robots look at is, are you consistently creating content? Are you answering people's questions? They do really like the deep dive into content. People always look at the, multi-thousand word blog posts and go, no one reads that much. Well, if someone's really interested and really wants to know about this topic, yes, they are going to read that much. Second of all, it's not so much about the people who are reading it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you do want to write for humans. But the robots really love all of that juicy content because that gives them a lot to work with. So they're not necessarily directing someone to read your entire blog post. They're going to direct someone to that specific paragraph in your blog post that answers that question. And now with the LLMs, not only do we have people, again, the chatbots, not only do we have people, asking a whole question instead of a search term, we now have them asking questions about the answer. They're now interacting with their search engine. ChatGPT is still a search engine, not Google, but it's still SEO.
Correct.
But that's a big one, is that now they're interacting with it. They can ask their chatbot about the answer, and then the chatbot has to go back and pull more information. So if you have a ton of information on a topic,
so deep dive content.
Deep dive
If
content.
you've got deep dive content, you're going to answer those multiple questions over and over again. And now you become a reliable resource for that LLM to come and actually pick up and say, you're the one.
Mhm.
Wow. That's that is interesting. Okay. I love it. Well, all right. So now that said, so the 3 things was consistency, and consistency in terms of consistently asking for them to do something, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
driving the person to go somewhere, and through the process of acquiring something or buying something, whether it's information or even buying the product or buying in or putting their name for an email newsletter, whatever it is, you have a call to action consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And timing, consistent timing, regular, consistent posting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that way it creates reliability and trust. So that way they know when they can expect my content or
Mm-hmm.
content. All right. I love it. I love it. And then it shows that we're not flaky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally screwed on this one, right? Because I'll like drop like 5 videos in a day and not show up for like 6 weeks, right? But it doesn't matter when we make the content, it's when we drop the content. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So, which is interesting because then I can do like 5 or 7 videos or 10 videos and have someone on my team or even just schedule them to drop at a regular time on a regular basis. Interesting.
Yep. That's what you should be doing.
Is there anything about like when that is? Like, is it like always drop it on a Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. or Sundays or weekends? Does it matter when stuff drops?
It does matter. There is no one answer, and it might depend on the type of content you're creating. So, like I said,
Okay.
my blog post always goes out Tuesday morning. In general, we see a peak activity Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with generally Tuesdays and Thursdays around midday being the time people are most engaged. So I wanted mine to publish, early in the morning on Tuesday so that it would be there by the time people are looking for it, lunchtime on Tuesday. I initially had my newsletter going out again Tuesday morning because that was supposed to be it was like 7:30 in the morning. That was supposed to be a really good time. And I think someone else that I followed that I was basically trying to emulate, I was trying to copy her. She always put hers out 7:30 in the morning on Tuesdays. Well, I was looking at my data, and most people were opening it Wednesday closer to 8:30. So I decided I would just send it Wednesday at 8:30, and my open rate went up. So
that's awesome.
Always check your data, see when people are engaging with your content, because there are general guidelines you can follow, but every audience is going to be different. So see when your audience is engaging with your content.
Got it. And so who is your audience? Just, what's the avatar that's looking at your stuff and picking you up?
A lot of other marketers. Attorneys and financial planners are my sweet spot as far as clients. And I do have people who are in that space who are following me, past clients, current clients are following me. Who else? I get business owners, people who are like CMOs and CROs are also following and looking at my stuff. CEOs look at my stuff.
CRO, Chief Revenue Officer?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Just making sure. Right. Just want to make sure it's not like Chief
Resource Officer. I don't know.
Thank you. Something. I don't know. I was making I was like, Chief Republican Officer. No. I'm just kidding. All right. So I love it. And then the storytelling, relatable stories to actually tell the story so that people can remember, tied to facts, tied to an actual story, not just raw data, right? And then the deep dive content. And I love the fact that it's now deep dive content because it really frustrated me. I would read this keyword shit, and you're right. It'd be like, keyword, 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 keyword. And I'm like, this is shit content. Like, this doesn't tell me anything as a consumer, let alone, so that's fantastic. So what would you say has been your what's been can you tell us a situation where I guess you got the attorney, but tell us something where you were just like, this was a disaster, like I should just need to just fold up and run?
Oh, that's a really good question. That's funny. I have the opposite answer prepared. I haven't had this question asked of me before, I don't think. So I don't think I've ever fired. No, I have fired a client. But that was social media. That's why I don't do social media anymore. there was one client I didn't actively fire her, and she didn't actively fire me, but we both just kind of let that relationship die. I knew she had another freelance writer working for her, so I would be sure to like bug her every once in a while for work, and she would send it to me. But after a while, I was like, it felt like no matter what I did, she wasn't happy. It's like if I fixed it one way, she wanted it
Mm.
the other way, and if I wanted it the other way, it was like, no, you got to do it over here. So it was like I did that, and then it wasn't,
Wait a
and
minute,
so
you wrote content for my parents?
it was really frustrating. And so I was thinking about this, and it was early in my business, so it was kind of, when you're at that stage where it's like you really need every client. But I was
Yeah,
trying to think long term, and I was like, I don't want her out there talking about me, because this isn't a good experience for her. It's not a good experience for me. Neither of us is happy with this. Why am I still doing this? So I just
right.
kind of I just stopped asking for, I didn't actively fire her. I just stopped asking for work, and she stopped sending me work, and we both just let it
Pulled
go.
back.
So
I
yeah.
love it. You guys ghosted each other.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Ghosted each other. Got it. I love it. I love it. It's like a bad Tinder date, right? Just
Yeah.
want to pretend that never happened. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's fantastic. Um, so what do you and the reason I asked that question is because I find that I learn as much from disasters, catastrophes, failures as
Mhm.
I do from my successes, right?
Mhm.
Um, cool. So, how do people get a hold of you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Allison Verhalen on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty easy to find. My YouTube channel is Allison
You
Verhalen.
would be surprised. I thought I was the only Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, but let me tell you, there are
Really?
others out there. Yes,
Now I
you'd
gotta
be
look.
surprised. So
Yeah.
you got to check. Got to check. So
I should
Allison
check.
Verhalen.
Allison with one L is also uncommon. Not, I know I'm not the only Allison with one L, but it does increase my chances of being the only one.
Yes, I had to
Yeah,
double
my
check that. I thought that was a spelling mistake on my team. I'm like, guys, did you not know how
yeah.
to spell her name? They're like, bro, you got it wrong. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so be when you're searching for me, make sure that it's with one L, because that'll make a difference. You might find a different Allison Verhalen if there's one out there with two L's.
Got it.
Um, my YouTube is Allison Verhalen, content marketer, and my company, my website is AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com.
Wait, Allison, wait, where did the Z come from?
There is no Z. You misheard me.
Oh, AV. When you get to my age, you'll start, hearing, yeah, is not very, wow.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
ladies and
I mean,
gentlemen,
it's a very common mistake, and that's why I go like, it's in my initials, Allison Verhalen, so that
yeah, I
people
don't know. I
understand.
wondered where the Z came from. I'm like, okay, maybe there's an A to Z content marketing. I thought maybe that was kind of like where you were going with that, but no, it's AV as in Victor,
Hmm.
content marketing. I
AV
love it.
Writing Services.
AV writing services. Okay. Um, fantastic. Allison, what would you recommend? Is there what book, movie, video, or something that has been major influence in your life that our readers could benefit from? Our readers, our watchers, our content, whatever, that my mom
Yeah.
can benefit from as she's the one watching this right now.
I can't remember the author's name, but the book They Ask You Answer is an excellent book on content marketing.
Okay.
Is it Mark Sheridan or Marcus Sheridan? One of those two. Excellent book on content marketing.
Why? What was so excellent about it?
Um, I mean, like I said about SEO, it's all about they ask the question, you got to have the answer, and that's
Got it.
really his entire philosophy is what do people want to see. So he had a different business before he got into content marketing, but he used content marketing to build that business and was very intentional about what do people want to see, what is my audience looking for, and what does position me as the expert, what makes me trustworthy versus what's going to turn someone off. And that's answers all of his questions going forward. And that also helped me with a question I had been dealing with. One question in particular, I was like, do I put this on my website? Do I not? And I had heard arguments both ways. So I was kind of weighing the pros and cons. And when he clarified that, I was like, all right, that answers my question. I'm done. I don't have to
And the
worry
answer
about this
was?
anymore. The answer was, do put prices on your website, because that's what people are looking for.
Fantastic. I did not. That's awesome. I did not realize that. So actually put the price in the website.
Put your
That's a
prices on
great
your
little
website,
bonus tip.
right? Because
I
that's
love
what
it.
people are looking for. And if they
And it
can't
saves
find
you
a
the
price,
trouble of answering that question, right? So at least
yeah.
here's the price, here's what we're going to charge,
Mhm.
and that's it. Just own it. Just own
Mhm.
the value that you're asking for. I love it. That's a great bonus.
Mhm.
I'm totally taking that home. Thank you for that.
And it's another way for people to self-select. Because if they go, oh, that's too much, like, oh, okay, then I don't want to waste time on a sales call with you.
And I don't have to waste my time on a sales call if it's not going to work.
Mhm.
So how do you charge people? Do you charge per article? Do you charge per, like, what is it that you like? How does your structure work? Since we're talking about pricing, you don't have to answer the question, but I'm figured, if you put it on your website, maybe you put it up
Yeah,
on
you
here.
could go to avwritingservices.com to find out. Yeah, I charge by the project. And so, for writing services, it's X amount per web page or per blog post or per newsletter, because I do also do email marketing. I also have like a marketing strategy session, which is just like a half-hour brainstorming session. So that's its own price. Branding
Okay,
strategy is its own price.
got it.
But yeah, it's a flat rate. I don't want to charge by the hour. I don't want to charge by the dime, because again, then people aren't really sure what they're going to pay. How long is this going to end up being? How many hours is this going to end up taking you? It's like,
Right.
well, I don't know, but if you want a blog post, here's what it's going to cost.
Is it like, do you do monthly, or do you like, bulk pricing, or?
Yeah, for blogging and newsletters, it's per month.
Got it. I love
Because
it.
again, with that consistency, so if you want 2 blog posts a month, let's do 2 blog posts every month, not 1 blog post this month and 3 blog posts the next month.
Just to actually go ahead and just consistently. So how do you, when you've got attorneys or providers that are professionals that are in different fields, how do you get the content together to write that for them? Like, how do you put that together?
Yeah,
Like,
so
because
a lot of
you're obviously not a PI lawyer, right? You're not
correct.
a financial
Although
planner.
I might be able to pass the bar for employment law at this point, because I know so much about employment law, because that was my first client and I wrote so many blog posts about that. So I feel like I could give pretty
Got
good
it.
advice. But
Got it.
yeah, no, it's a lot of research, and then at a certain point, I just have to interview the client and get their, not only their perspective on it, but if they have a story of like, oh yeah, I was just talking to a client who's dealing with this, and da 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 da. Incorporating that into the blog post is, again, it's a story. It's super powerful.
Yeah.
It's also personal, and it demonstrates their their perspective on a topic and their expertise.
Got
And
it.
that, again, that is that's what the robots are looking for. It's also what the robots can't replicate. So when you're trying to stand out from the crowd, from all this AI slop that we have running around, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that people clue into, is when there's a really good story that demonstrates your expertise, and you can take a stand on a topic, and back
Because
up
AI
why
is
you take
always
that
neutral.
position. AI is
Yeah.
always neutral. AI always, it will give you the facts all day long, or the statistics. It will kind of wrap it into a story. It's not very good at that. It's not very good at the calls to action, but having that unique perspective is what positions you as a thought leader in your industry.
That's awesome. Do you think? I mean, obviously, you mentioned newspapers, and for those of you out there who don't know what a newspaper is, well, ChatGPT it, right? Do you think that the direction that the world is going, because journalism is almost, I mean, has died in a sense, because all the newspapers went out of business and the magazines, and it's not what it used to be. Now it's a lot of online stuff. Even I'm not saying there's no journalism left, right? But do you think that that's a direction that a lot of um, news writers and journalists and writers are going into, is actually in this content space, developing and writing content?
Yeah, well, and that's has been part of the death of journalism, which I'm not going to agree that it's dead. It's not doing very well. I wouldn't say it's healthy.
Got it.
It's not dead yet. But yeah, a lot of it has been clickbait. And so a lot of the really good journalism that does take months, years to research and get all the sources and verify the sources and write this really long, in-depth content that nobody reads versus the clickbaity stuff that might not have any backup at all, but it gets clicks. And so they're getting more views and they can use that to get more funding. It's really frustrating that we have that happening, but it is kind of part of what I do is like, yeah, what is the headline that people are going to click on? And I mean, I always back it up with good content, but there are a lot of people out there who don't.
Yeah. Do you think so how did your process work? So let's say for example, I want to do a newsletter and I want to do 2 blog posts a month, right? Would that be a good consistent drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how would that work? What's your process? Are you meeting with me once a month? Are you meeting with me twice a month? Are you like, how does that work?
Yeah. Well, first I would ask for your brand voice guidelines, and you would probably give me a blank stare and a brand voice, what now? So I would then have kind of a branding, my onboarding session is kind of branding light, where I would pull out a bunch of information out of you to get that, that I can put together those brand voice guidelines so that I have a guide as far as, okay, these are the words that we use. These are the words we don't use. We want to use this tone. We want to focus on these kinds of topics. And here are our content pillars. And all right, now we have a roadmap. Let's go. So that's the first part of working with me is that has to happen before anything else can happen. And then for an ongoing basis, yes, I would like to meet once a month for about half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on, how in-depth we're getting with 2 blog posts. And then, yeah, I would go ahead and write those. I always turn them into my clients in a Word document. And then some clients are like, great. And they take them and post them to their website. Other people will go, yeah, great. Go ahead and post it to the website. And then I post it to the website for them. I'm comfortable either way, but like I said, I work with a lot of attorneys. And although I would say all business owners are control freaks, attorneys really take it to the next level. So most of them really want to put it on the website themselves.
So that said, if let's say for example, and I'm just obviously I think I'm fishing right now, but if we've got 2 full-bodied blog posts, right, and then 1 full-bodied newsletter a month, what would that kind of like? Are you comfortable with talking about what that might approximately like a range cost for someone to do?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind we're recording this in June of 2026, and I do reserve the right to raise my prices. So
absolutely,
nobody quote me on this.
This is not a quotable state.
Right. Don't go back and be like, well, on my Mood podcast, you said.
I saw on the bow tie. You said,
no, that was sorry. At the moment, I'm charging $500 per blog post and $250 per newsletter. So that would be. Don't make me do math on the fly. That's why I'm a word
I
person.
Got it. How full-bodied is the newsletter? Is that like a bunch of little articles? Is it like where to find? Like what would be a sample of? Yeah. Well, what's usually the content in the newsletter?
It depends. I know it's frustrating to hear that over and over, but that is true. That
I'm an attorney.
Always
That's
depends.
that we always
it's
say
our favorite answer, right? As well, it depends.
Yes, absolutely.
In general, I do like kind of a roundup post for the newsletter. I always, for my own newsletter, it's here's the blog of the week. And then here's something else that, is related to marketing that caught my interest, always from someone else, because again, I want to not just be promoting my own stuff, but also position myself as a resource. So it's always going to be another marketer, usually a marketer who doesn't quite do what I do. So, if you need tips on social media, go over here. And then there is the blatant promotion of, all right, if you need this service, here's that. And then videos are also really powerful. I read somewhere once that having a video in a blog increases open rates. So that is something that I'm in the middle of a place and everybody's walking by saying goodbye. So it is the end of the day where we are. So
yes.
Yeah, I always have a video, which is really just the video version of my blog. It's not different content. It's just if you'd rather have this as a video rather than the blog post, here you go.
Got it. Okay. I love it. Thank you. Favorite restaurant?
I don't know that I have one favorite restaurant. What would it be? Where do I want to make my dad take me for my birthday next week? Um,
Yes. Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're going to be
Um,
22.
of course, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, there's one. So I'm in Oak Park, which is just outside of Chicago, and in Forest
Yes.
Park, which is just a little bit northwest of
Yep.
me, southwest, is an Italian restaurant called Piacere Mio, and it's so good. So that has been kind of our go-to for ever since it
What is it?
opened, which was
What's the name of it?
Piacere
Pietro?
Mio, Piacere, and then the second word is Mio.
Piec.
Pia.
Oh, Pia. Sorry. Piacere.
ERE.
Piacere mio. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And you're saying it's fantastic?
It's so good.
All right. I'm going to go check that out. I love it. Allison, thank you so much. Last words to anybody that you want to throw out there?
Nothing comes to mind. Just
I think you nailed it.
I think so too. I think I covered everything. The last bit of advice is always really understand your audience and what they care about. Um, the more you can understand your ideal audience and really create content for them, the more effective your content is going to be. Because if you try to
How
market
do
to
you
everyone, you end up marketing to no one.
Absolutely. How would someone do that? Like, how would they, like, is there like a quick way to figure out and what their
There is
audience
no
is looking for?
there is no quick way. The quickest way I found for myself, hopefully you've been collecting testimonials from all of
Mhm.
your happy customers. So one thing I did was I collected a bunch of my testimonials and dropped them into Claude, which is my favorite LLM chatbot,
Mhm.
and said, give me the common themes, the most used words and phrases here,
Oh, that's a
um,
great idea.
based on that. So yeah, so dump that into Claude and then ask Claude or Perplexity, whatever you use. Just ask it a bunch of questions about that because that will give you a lot of insight, not only to you as a business owner and the services you provide, but also to the kinds of people that you're working with and the benefits that they're getting out of working with you.
I love that. Allison, thank you so much for your help. Thank you for joining us on the Bowtie Edge. And ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to get a hold of her, how can they get? Oh, they get a hold of you. They're going to find you on LinkedIn using your name. Do you want to drop a phone number or an email?
Email is just info@avwritingservices.com.
And that's a V with Victor, not a Z. So info
Correct.
at avwritingservices.com. Did I get that right?
That's it.
Awesome. Allison, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Welcome. Thank you for joining us in the Bowtie Edge, Real Estate Unraveled. We stripped away the legal jargon. We got real about real estate. We helped homeowners, investors, brokers, agents, lenders, and my fellow attorneys. We talked about what you actually need to know. My name, Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, affectionately referred to as the Bowtie Attorney, and the lovely Allison Verhalen. Verhalen.
Verhalen.
Verhalen. Got it. Like Van Halen.
Yes.
Allison Verhalen. We brought you unfiltered insights from professionals on the front lines of real estate law. This wasn't theory, it was strategy. Real estate, untangled, unfiltered, with an edge, and we flew. Thank you all.